am in Chattanooga, Tennessee, attending the NMRA's 2026 National Convention. I've actually been here all week, so I'm going to take you back in time and we're going to start the adventure early in the week on Monday. As you can see, I'm actually here at the incline railway that goes up Lookout Mountain. I thought this was a fitting place to record my opening. Hi friends, my name is Steven and this is my channel Signal Up Productions, where I make videos all about trains. I've actually taken that ride before with my family in the past, and it's a real treat. So if you're ever in Chattanooga, be sure and check out the Incline Railway. Back to the show. Okay, so I'm actually here for the National Convention. I've been here all week. I'm going to take you guys along the adventure. Today is actually August 1st, Saturday, and I'm on my way to the train show right now. And it just started raining on me, so I guess that's one way to... I mean, it can only get better from here. I'm on my way to a train show, right? So before we do that, and before we go back in time and start the adventure on Monday, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Then click that bell icon so you're notified every time I post a new video. I'm going to get back to the car where it's dry, head to the train show. You guys enjoy the clips from earlier in the week. Alright guys, we have officially made it. After about 6 hours on the road, I just pulled into the parking garage here in downtown Chattanooga. The drive down wasn't bad at all, mostly smooth cruising, plenty of coffee, and a lot of anticipation built up over the last few months. But now, it's time to stretch my legs, grab my gear, and head inside to hit the registration desk, pick up my badge and my convention packet. If you're new to the NMRA or new to the model railroad hobby, you might be asking yourself, what exactly is an NMRA National Convention? Well, every summer, the National Model Railroad Association brings together modelers, manufacturers, and rail fans from all over the globe. It's essentially the ultimate week-long celebration of model railroading. We're talking hundreds of hours of clinics taught by master modelers. There's prototype tours, home layout visits, layout operating sessions, and of course, the gigantic national train show to cap it all off at the end of the week. A quick word about that. Some people confuse the National Train Show with the National Convention. The convention is a week-long event and is usually only open to NMRA members who have registered. The National Train Show is at the end of the convention and it's open to the public. But convention attendees get in free with their badge. With an event this massive, the key to surviving and thriving is having a game plan. To really make the most of a convention week like this, you've got to balance your schedule. I like to pick out the must-attend clinics for every day of the week on techniques that I really want to sharpen, and then line up a couple of layout tours to get inspired by incredible craftsmanship, and leave plenty of time open in the evenings just to talk trains, swap ideas, and railfan local hotspots. There's the registration desk right up ahead. Let's get checked in, pin on my lanyard, and kick off what's going to be an epic week in Chattanooga. The hallways in the convention center are lined with clinic rooms. Each room has these whiteboard signs identifying the schedule for each room. The first clinic on Monday was at 1 p.m. and that was on painting backdrops. Most clinics were about an hour long with a 30-minute break in between each one. The second and third clinics that night was on CTC signals and how to build a CTC panel. Between 5 and 7 p.m. each night was a dinner break. I opted to walk to nearby food options each night rather than trying to drive. The venue did have a couple of simple cafe options, but they were all cashless and very high priced. I returned around 7 p.m. for the next two clinics, which was on NMRA operations, and that finished out my night. Most of these national conventions are held at or near upscale hotels who offer attendees a special convention rate. Even with this special rate, the per night cost was more than I wanted to pay. I chose a cheaper Super 8 property just outside of town, and I chose to drive in each day and park at the convention center. Overall, that was the best option for me. The hotel was acceptable, it was right next to a Waffle House, and the drive in each day was along a busy rail yard and main line. Tuesday morning, the first clinic I wanted to take wasn't until 11 a.m. And I still woke up around 6 a.m. and began the day with a free hotel breakfast. Then I went trackside for some early morning rail fanning. The schedule for home layout visits was pretty much at the exact same time of all the clinics that I wanted to go to, so I felt I had to choose between clinics and layout visits. This is Doug Smith's upscale layout. He had a really neat track plan that allowed for several trains to run at one time. Back at the convention center, I took a clinic on bridges, another one on the Achievement Program CARS certificate, and then Pele Solborg gave a clinic on his modeling and photography techniques. And then there was also a clinic on 3D printing and design. Looking at the schedule, I saw the Tennessee Valley Model Railroaders Club layout was going to be open until 6 p.m. for their open house. If I left right then, I'd have about 20 minutes to visit their layout. I spent the rest of the evening rail fanning at Coffey's Cliff. Wednesday morning was another 6 a.m. alarm, but this time I took advantage of the adjacent Waffle House. Then it was back out trackside, making a good attempt at catching some cool trains. There's a contest room set up, and they've got some really fantastic models on display. Some of the models are there for judging. The builders are trying to earn a merit award to pursue their Master Model Railroader certificates. Around 1 p.m. that day, I had to get back to the convention. There was an optional hands-on class for an additional cost called Modeling with the Masters. This class was a 4-hour hands-on scratch building with styrene workshop. The parts needed were included in the price. All I had to do was bring my tools from home. I've scratch built some styrene structures before, but still found the class to be educational. No matter how much of an expert you think you are, there's always something you can learn from someone else. The class ended promptly at 5 p.m. That gave me a 2-hour dinner break, which I used to walk down to the local Venezuelan restaurant. The next clinic that evening was given by Joe Fugate on tuning locomotives to run better. I had a scheduled activity. I had purchased an optional trip out to the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum for a nighttime photo shoot of their Southern 4501 steam engine. The engine was fired up, and they planned to position it around the property throughout the night. While I am happy that I went on this activity, and at the end of the day I was able to capture some acceptable images, I wasn't really pleased with how the session was coordinated or executed. I understand these kind of events are ran by volunteers, and I don't want to sound too overly critical. Firstly, there were very few locations people could photograph the engine without someone in the shot. I would have liked the organizers or the staff to give better direction to the crowds to form a photo line that was further back. Those of us wanting to compose a compressed image using a longer telephoto lens didn't really have that option. The areas that had ropes, they were only 10 to 20 feet away from the engine, and everybody was trying to get as close as they could. Secondly, I expected a nighttime photo session. Every position the locomotive was stopped in for photos was flooded with these portable baseball stadium lights. This essentially created daytime levels of light. For nighttime photos, especially with cameras on tripods, I was expecting to get time exposures. With a steam engine that's under fire, this would have allowed me to create better images of the venting steam and the glow from the firebox. And even with the nearby city lights, I still could have managed to get a few stars in my images. None of that was possible due to these bright lights. I did ask the person in charge if they could turn off these lights. He seemed confused by my request, not understanding what a time exposure was. He did accommodate my request and briefly turned off one of the lights. And what I mean by brief, I needed several minutes of darkness to dial in my camera settings and get a good exposure. I got about 20 seconds before he turned the lights back on. Not really enough time to do what I was wanting to do. So from my perspective, the session was great for the people there with their iPhone 48s and folks that paid for one of the limited photo spots, but only came to actually see the engine, not actually take any photos or videos. If I ever consider a similar activity like this in the future, maybe at a different event, I'm going to ask clarifying questions at that time to make sure they're going to be able to cater to legitimate photographers. Thursday morning was better. I paid for the optional tour at the FMW Solutions fabrication shop. According to their website, they are a railroad contractor that specializes in solutions for complex railroad challenges. Coach buses are used for many of these off-site events. For a smaller building, they're doing some really big and cool things. Our guides explained some of the technology for right-of-way vegetation control they are developing in connection with CSX. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it could be a real game changer. They have a full-service fabrication shop, and they regularly rebuild or repair locomotive parts. These are some really old trucks from a Shea steam engine that they're returning to usable condition. The final clinic that I went on that night was making things rusty. I felt I probably should have gotten a tetanus shot before attending. Friday morning, I wanted to be at the convention early. Cynthia Priest was giving a clinic on how she scratch-built the gondola and the boxcar that she used for her AP car certificate. Of all of the clinics that I went to this week, hers was the best and most informative. The next clinic was offered by a Norfolk Southern Railroad police officer on safety when rail fanning. That definitely is important information to know. So since the convention is so close to Scale Train's headquarters, they've got a public open house, and it's a nice little 30-minute drive up the road. So come up here and check out where some of my trains come from. Well, I'm in Cleveland, Tennessee, making a stop at the Scale Train's headquarters. Walking up the sidewalk here, the very first thing that catches your eye parked right out front is the iconic red Scale Train's pickup truck. Seeing that truck in person immediately sets the tone. These folks live and breathe model trains. Stepping right through the front doors, you get an immediate look at the nerve center behind so many of the detailed locos and rolling stock we have on our layouts. Headed towards the back of the building is the warehouse area. The sheer scale of the operation is just impressive. Shelves packed with all sorts of inventory, shipping stations, and models ready to head out to their modelers all over the world. It's always cool to see behind the scene logistics of how this kind of stuff works and how it goes from the warehouses to our workbenches. But the real highlight for my visit was getting to see inside their layout room. Here we've got the HO Scale Daneberg subdivision, built by master modeler himself, Pele Soborg. And it's a whole different experience than just seeing it in pictures of the magazine. The weathering, the ultra-realistic Midwest scenery, the crisp track work, the level of detail in person is just insane. I could stand there for an hour and keep spotting new textures and subtle details I missed the first time. Getting to check out the Daneberg sub in person was worth the drive all by itself. Huge thanks to the team at Scale Trains for letting us stop by and take a tour. Alright, well that was the Scale Trains warehouse and offices. That was kind of neat. They even had the Daneberg, what is it, the Daneberg subdivision, Union Pacific, that Pele Soborg had created many years ago, and it's now in possession of Scale Trains, and they use it for a lot of testing of locomotives and displays and stuff like that. So it was really neat to see that. And didn't really have a chance to talk to many people. I did talk to a couple people, the photography guy and a couple of other product developer people. So I mean, I appreciate my trip up here. I'm glad I made it. It was like a 35-minute drive from Chattanooga up the interstate, so I can't stay real long. I came up here in between clinics, so I've got to get back to the convention so I can get back to doing the clinics, which is really what I came to the convention for. But I need to find some lunch. All right, food. I found an option. I'm gonna run down the street and see if it's any good.
Para mi gente, con una pasión tan fuerte.
Alright, so I got mine to go. It was kind of a little noisy in there, just, you know, it was a popular place, and it's a local place. I mean, I asked the girl there, and she said, no, this is the only one. This is just a Cleveland, Tennessee kind of thing here. So let's look at this, because this smells really good. I have here a Jamaican Me Hungry taco with fried chicken with some Jamaican brown sugar jerk sauce, and then there's also Just Keep Swimming taco, a fish taco with some kind of special sauce. They smell really good. They actually look really good. For those of you that don't know me personally, I'm a big taco Mexican food connoisseur, so to have something fusion like this is just gonna be yummy. So This is what I'm going to do for lunch. I'm going to eat them really quick because it's already 12:45 on Friday afternoon of the convention. I intended to just run down to the Scale Trains open house, grab some quick lunch, and then zip on back. But when I saw this place, I was like, okay, local taco joint, gotta try it. But it's now 12:45, and the next clinic I wanted to go to was resurrecting brass steam locomotives. So it was going to be something that I might need some of that information. It's 12:45 right now. It's a 35-minute drive on the interstate, assuming there's no traffic backups. So I'm not going to be there at the start of the clinic, but I guess I'll get there when I get there and take in whatever information I can. But that's just how it's going to go on some of these convention trips. You're going to have all these clinics you're going to want to do. You're going to have these excursions you're going to want to do. You're going to have to make time for food, and you just fit it in the best you can, and sometimes you have to make concessions. So I'm going to eat these down really fast and get driving, because I'm not going to try and eat these while I'm driving. Oh yeah. That's a pair of actual SD40-2s, not the mother and slug set that's usually on the trim job. So he's actually on the main line siding. Either way, that might be a local job going up to switch somewhere up north. Interesting. Anyways, so as you can see, I'm back here at Coffey's Cliff, and I didn't make it back in time to go to that clinic on the brass steam locomotive. So I guess you know, just kind of rolling with the punches here. Now the next clinic that I want to go to isn't until 4 p.m. and it's right now 2 p.m. So I have now an hour and a half to kill. So I decided I'd come down here and do a little rail fanning. This is just a great spot, Coffey's Cliff in Chattanooga. So usually I would expect the last couple times I've shown up here this week, there were more rail fans already out here. So I am the only one. It's a pretty warm day, about 85 degrees. Drinking plenty of water, staying in the shade here. My car makes a really nice little shady spot, and I don't really have to go far to see the trains. So that's just how it works sometimes. I just didn't make it back in time for the clinic I wanted to go to. I looked at the schedule. I don't believe they're going to have that clinic again. So maybe if I find the clinician out on the train show somewhere, I can ask him for some basically a summary of maybe what his clinic was about, or maybe he's got a spare handout or something like that. So, yep, he's got a flag on the back. Yeah, so he's going out somewhere. Maybe he's gonna wait for another train. I'll catch a southbound. He's going north right now. So, well, this show is this convention has had a lot of great clinics, and it's really tough to make all of them. And some of them they're only giving once. So, you know, if you miss that one because there's another one going on the exact same time, I mean, you're just kind of out of luck. I don't know if that's something they take into consideration or if that's just a necessary evil. If they just don't have enough time in the day to have, you know, every clinic not conflict with every other clinic. So when you're planning out, you know, especially if you're looking at the schedule of the clinics coming up, if you're going to go to a national convention, what I did is I made out the spreadsheet, and I kind of looked at all the clinics that I wanted to do, and I put down in color which ones would conflict with another one, and then that way I'd have to just make that hard decision when the time came. So like today, the hard decision was, well, I'm not going to make it back in time for that brass locomotive clinic, so I came out here, and I'll be out here with enough time to, thankfully the convention center is only 10 minutes down the road, and it only takes a minute to park and walk inside. So I'll do that, and then I'll attend the other clinic that I wanted to go to later this evening. Back at the convention, I took a clinic on realistic concrete. I've been watching Craig's videos on YouTube for a while now, and it was really great to see his presentation in person. On Friday night, the train show opened for a couple of hours just for convention attendees. This was great because I had the advantage to swipe up any rare deals before the general public. A clinic on modeling water and a clinic on how to photograph model trains helped finish out the night. Saturday was going to be the final day of the convention for me. Since I saw most of the train show that I wanted to see on Friday night, I really didn't make a big effort to get there right when the doors opened. Instead, I spent most of the morning rail fanning. CSX and Norfolk Southern both have some really busy lines in the area, and the rolling hills offer some great photo locations. I did arrive to the show eventually, around 11 a.m., which still gave me plenty of time to shop at my favorite tool vendor, check out some layouts, visit with friends, and speak with some manufacturers. There was a big push this year to have the largest in-scale T-track layout. It's really cool how these modules go together. And I was captivated by this cloverleaf setup with the train nearly hitting its own caboose. I could have watched that for hours. That alone's pretty entertaining. The clinics concluded on Saturday, as the main focus at this point was on the train show. The show continued into Sunday, but when I got up Sunday morning, I was just really missing my family and ready to get home, so I went ahead and started my 6-hour drive then. Overall, I had a great week. Here's a total breakdown of my expenses. For a hotel, I spent $431.11 for 6 nights. For gas, I drove about 950 miles between traveling, rail fanning, and getting around, and gas was an average of $3.30 a gallon. That total was $98. For food, I tried to stay on a strict budget. Most mornings I would use the hotel's free breakfast. A couple of mornings I stopped at the local McDonald's. Once I picked up some fresh donuts from Walmart. And then one time I enjoyed Waffle House. Lunch was less involved. Usually I would just pack a light snack in the car, maybe a Lunchable. Dinner, that's where I would splurge. Each night I would stop at somewhere different. I spent a total of $130 on the food. I did register for the convention as soon as the website was open and available last year, so I got the early bird price of $150. I also paid for extra add-ons of the nighttime photo shoot, that was $75. The modeling with the masters class, that was $60. And the tour of the FMW solution shop, that was $40. Lastly, I paid to park at the convention parking garage. This wasn't the cheapest option, however, it was extremely convenient since it had a connected hallway. I basically paid the full daily rate every day. It's $25 a day or $150 for the 6 days I went to the convention center. That gave me a grand total of $1,134.11 for 7 full days of railroad adventure. End of that train went by. We're at the end of this video for this adventure. I'm actually here in Bridgeport, Alabama. This is the dual river bridge that goes over the Tennessee River, and we've got a timetable southbound, geographically northeastbound. BNSF coal train sharing some trackage rights on the CSX line, heading probably towards Chattanooga, who knows where after that. So that was pretty well the experience that I enjoyed this week. All the different things the NMRA National Convention has to offer. So if you guys have never been to an NMRA National Convention, definitely want to give that a consideration if it ever happens to come to a city near you. And if you could spare a week out of your personal schedule and participate in all of the different events that the National Convention has to offer, the workshops, the clinics, the meet and greets, the prototype tours especially was my favorite, things like that. And also a lot of these NMRA National Conventions are held in locations that have some really prime rail fanning. So if you had any questions, leave them down in the comments below. I'll try and answer them the best I can. Thanks for watching, guys.